The Ford Explorer is probably the most recognizable police SUV of all time. You can see them everywhere in the US, and even some European emergency services have started adopting them. It wasn't always like that though. Let's have a look at the history of police cars used in the States. We start in the 1950s with this Ford sedan, which was the first car to be offered as a police package vehicle. I bet it reminds you of the 1949 Mercury 8 that starred as sheriff in the Cars movie, but was somehow never actually sold as a police car. 15 years forward and just look at how much power we gained. When equipped with the Police Interceptor V8 engine, this Galaxy 500 rivaled even the fastest cars of its era. In the 70s, Dodge entered the market with its Monaco, best known for its performance as the Bluesmobile in the Blues Brothers movie. The 1986 Caprice with its small block V8 was known to be a dependable police car, even though it wasn't nearly as powerful as models from the 70s. You've all seen this next model, the Crown Victoria. Reliable, easy to maintain and tough. Those were the qualities that made it into the most used police car well into the 2010s, before it was replaced by the Interceptor Utility in 2013. This Explorer-based unit was the first to offer all-wheel drive and electronic stability control. Ford updated the model in 2016, giving it the optional 365 horsepower EcoBoost engine and the so-called Pursuit mode. And that's where we come back to the present. This 2020 Interceptor is now offered with a hybrid powertrain as standard, while the highest spec packs as much as 400 horsepower. In this video, we're going to focus on the 2016 model, since that's still the most used police SUV to this day. The build was very challenging in many aspects, so it's understandable that not many people attempted building this car in the 8-stud wide scale yet. As always, we divided the building process into the chassis, the front, the interior, the back and the roof. But let's start with the chassis. All good LEGO vehicles start with a solid foundation, and even though this is an SUV, the Speed Champion's chassis piece was still very essential in this build. The model will later be about 8 studs wide and 24 studs long. That translates to about 2.5 inches in width and 7.5 inches in length. Since that's quite long for an 8-stud wide model, I have to extend the chassis to still fit 2 rows of seats. The grey jumper plates in the back mark the back row, and the seats for the officers are in front of that. I will also need some brackets that will hold the seats in place later. Now I'm placing down some hinges that will come in handy when building the interior. In case you're wondering why they are pink, that's just the color I always use to clarify which pieces will not be visible later on. When you build the model in real life, you can then swap these out for whatever color is available for you. I can also start building these side panels, which I can easily attach to the LEGO Speed Champion's baseplate. Here, I pair these brackets with these cheese slopes in order to fill these gaps not covered by the fenders. And after that, the chassis is pretty much done. The front is, well, quite complex to build. Honestly, this was the part where I began to understand why so few people even attempted building this car. Let me show you what I mean by that. The Explorer has some main features like its headlights and grille, which are already hard enough to get right by themselves. But pair that with its round and bulky shape and you get attempts like these. Still, let's jump in. I'm starting by extending the front part of the chassis. I especially use lots of modified bricks because of the nature of this front section. You'll see why later. Now, I get that all of this looks quite unstable, but we actually built this model in real life, so we will put that to the test at the end of this video. Now here comes the grille and front push bar, the part that'll attach to the bar holder I built a moment ago. The underside of the front is pretty much just a combination of different rounded shapes. Once done, it's gonna be attached upside down to the underside. The bracket right here is to keep the gap from this piece and the angled front piece minimal. Now that we've attached this, it's time to top the front off with a hood. This also means that we can finish the headlights. These final steps for the front include more hinges, these ones being there to hold the windscreen in place later. I'm starting to build the interior by filling a gap between these two hinges. As you can see, I'm using this 2x6 plate for a custom dashboard with gauges and a steering wheel. This attaches to the hinges I built earlier. Here I also put in the other hinge part for the windscreen hinges. Turning to the middle of the interior, I used a 1x5 plate and attached it to the brackets. These have studs with holes, putting the plate in the middle and saving me some jumper plates. It's common for these vehicles to have some sort of barrier in the middle. This worked to my advantage, as I was able to attach a stud to this fence. This then works as a headrest. The rear was very complex to build, but I had a pretty good idea of how I wanted to design it. Let me explain. So, if you imagine the car split into the main body and rear like this, both of these parts are 8 studs wide. The idea was to shrink the back to only be 7 studs wide. This would make the backlights face inward, making the whole rear section look less blocky and more like the real thing. However, this approach turned out to severely limit the potential attachment points to the main body. Let me give you an example on a specific problem I faced. The lower part of the rear consists of these 3 pieces. This top part is the main connection to the rest of the body. The one below is the part that's actually 7 studs wide and that holds the back lights. This bottom part is supposed to be the rear under tray. What's problematic is that these 2 parts weren't actually connected. This part was only attached to the bottom, which put a lot of stress on the connection between the top and bottom part. The solution? This bracket with plates on top that now connects the 2 parts through these studs. As the side panels are still not entirely done, I'm finishing them before I can continue building the upper rear. These jumper plates are placed so that the Ford Explorer's iconic C-pillar could be replicated in Lego. The back window consists of simple translucent slopes. Using a bracket and a brick modified on one stud is how I'm creating both the D and the C pillars. I'm quickly finishing the side panels and mirrors. But now I'm facing a common problem. Lego's windscreen options at this scale are very limited. Take this one for example. It's too steep and doesn't fit the Explorer's shape. This one looks better, but the windows on the side are distracting, especially since they're not continued all the way to the back. That's why I went custom and used this bus windshield, which I angled with hinges. This gives me more control and solves both problems. What was left was the actual roof of the car. The roof is 6 studs wide, although these modified plates in the back make the roof 7 studs wide. Lastly, I used a black wedge plate and rotated it on a jumper plate to create my emergency lights. Now that we've attached the roof to the rest of the car, we're pretty much done. So now... wait, what? Ah, stickers. As you will have probably guessed by now, this Ford Explorer is meant to look like it's part of the New York City Police Department, so let's add some fitting stickers. As I said, we actually built this car in real life, which is way cooler than merely looking at a 3D model. Although I was worried, the front and back sections are surprisingly sturdy. This time I can guarantee that the car is buildable in real life. The roof is also relatively easy to take off, so you'll have no problem placing your minifigures inside. There's 3 other versions of this model, including a Chicago Fire version, an undercover vehicle and a civilian version. In case you want to build these models for yourself, you can download the instructions from the description below. As always, you can get them for free, so I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. If you want to see how I build a realistic fire truck, click and watch this video.